So with it getting closer to spring of 2021, it means that the 5th season of My Hero Academia is getting closer to being upon us. With this in mind, I took some time to reflect on some of the things that have happened so far, as well as some of the characters. During this time, I inevitably came back to what has been pretty much my #1 hope for every season of My Hero Academia so far since the first one, and that is the evolution of Momo. Momo has by far the most interesting quirk we have seen in the show so far. The possibilities for its application are seemingly endless. She also seems like the only person out of the main cast who can realistically challenge the main three of Bakugo, Todoroki, and Deku for the top spot at the school. Yet sadly, she is seemingly incredibly underutilized, with her quirk so far only being used in the most boring, uncreative ways possible. I can just imagine her being so much more than she currently is, and watching her waste away her potential is really frustrating. So let me quickly explain to you guys the sort of thing that I'm picturing in my mind when I think of Momo. In my head, at her peak potential, I picture her being some sort of combination of Batman and Emiya from Fate in how she fights, in the sense of her being an intelligent, offensive fighter who is able to spam a bunch of weapons and adapt a different approach to fighting depending on the enemy that she is facing. Ideally, I think she should pick a generic multi-purpose weapon that she is most comfortable with and use that as her default weapon, so to say. This should be her go-to when she has no specialist information or prep for the enemy in which she is facing. Ideally, this weapon should be simple and maybe also small so she can bring it out quickly in case she is jumped or something of this nature. I also think it would be good if it's throwable since she can make more of them on the fly, thus taking away the only major disadvantage that comes with throwing your weapon. So perhaps this default weapon that I'm conceptualizing can be some sort of dagger? I'm not sure exactly, but you get the idea of the sort of weapon that I'm thinking of from the criteria that I have listed. From there, ideally she would have 3 more go-to weapons that she is comfortable with using for different ranges. One for short range, one for mid range, and then one for long range. If her comfortability with her default weapon is at 100%, then with these 3 weapons it should be somewhere between 65 to 70%. The idea being that once she has scrapped around with her opponent for a while and the fight's opening, she should be able to get more of a feel for how they're fighting. If she feels that it's appropriate because, for example, the opponent has some sort of projectile quirk where they keep shooting at her from a distance, and then she switches to the weapon that is most suited to combat that. In this case it would probably be the long range weapon. Obviously as well, if she already has a hard read on her opponent's weakness, then she can specifically make whatever she needs in order to capitalize on that weakness. But for the most part, this variety of weapons should have her covered against the majority of lesser to average opponents. Against higher level opponents, however, she can still use these tools that I just mentioned in order to take her time filling out the fight, keeping it going and also keeping it competitive, as the show has told us that Momo is one of the most intelligent heroes at UA. Also, just due to the nature of how her power works, it seems that you would have to be intelligent in order to utilize its full potential anyway. Thus, I believe the longer a fight goes, the more in favor it should be to Momo if she paces herself correctly, as everybody does have a weakness, and she has both the tools and the mind to find those weaknesses. So as the fight evolves and progresses, she should be able to find a chink in her opponent's armor, and from there she can make whatever she needs specifically to aid her in capitalizing on that chink. So now you're wondering, just how would we get to this Momo that I'm imagining? Well, it seems simple to me really, she just has to train towards it. From the sports festival already, she identified that one of her biggest weaknesses is decisive decision making and her sense in battle. She has improved a bit already in that regard, but seemingly not to where she would want to be ideally. If I was her in that moment, on top of whatever she's already doing, I would literally try to spar as much as humanly possible with Bakugo, as it's been shown to us that he is one of the best at what she's trying to improve at. Additionally, I imagine that he would also be a great practice partner, as he would not only take it seriously, but also he wouldn't be taking it easy on her. He would push her to get better and better with every single session. I imagine he would also gladly accept the practice, as it can be mutually beneficial since not only is he getting regular practice from somebody who is hungry to improve, and he himself is always hungry to improve because he wants to be the #1 hero, but also, because she is so versatile due to the nature of her quirk, she can give him specialized practice in a manner that would be hard to come by regularly. By taking part in this intensive, regular, focused practice with the purpose of improving towards the ideal point that I'm imagining, she should definitely make big strides towards it. Who knows, maybe even some fun interactions can come out of these two personalities coming together, as they are near opposite sides of the spectrum when it comes to the personality scale. With Momo being quite chill and laid back, but Bakugo being extremely fiery and hot-headed. Obviously, as well as time goes on and she keeps up with her regular quirk practice, her quirk stamina should also improve, or at least you would hope. So hopefully if she does these improvements that I'm talking about and heads down the path of the Momo that I'm imagining, she will gain more agency in the show and be used more often in these dangerous situations that the characters often find themselves in. For example, like the raid against the Yakuza or the alleyway fight against Stain. I just find this offensive-orientated Momo with great combative prowess to be a really exciting prospect, and one that should definitely be doable. With all the ways that she can potentially approach fights with utilizing both her quirk and her intellect to their full potential, they should all be highly entertaining and also quite flashy as well. It just seems so much more exciting to me than just a guy getting hard and punching people in the face, for example. And don't get me wrong, a guy getting hard and punching somebody in the face is exciting in its own right, but seemingly nowhere near the potential for how entertaining these Momo fights can be. So that pretty much concludes my thoughts on my biggest hope for the 5th season of My Hero Academia. Do you guys agree with me that Momo is being incredibly underutilized and could potentially be the most entertaining hero to watch fight in My Hero Academia? Leave your thoughts about it in the comment section below. Like always, I will be sure to read the ones that I find the most interesting and highlight them. So please don't forget to like the video and subscribe to this channel for more content like this or on any of my other interests. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Bye bye.